Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome to Guys on Sports.
Hey, that sounds different.
Yeah, if you've been watching this show, hey, we changed our name and
Oh shit, that looks different.
we rebranded.
Yeah.
Hey,
Don't pay attention to this.
what we decided to do. Well, I mean, that's history, right?
That is
you
history.
can't get rid of history.
That's a relic. We're selling that.
Yeah, we're selling that.
Yeah.
So
First bidder.
we rebranded. We decided to change the network name to the Guys On Network to go along. I guess if you're smart enough to catch the theme, the Guys On Draft, Guys On Sports, potentially in the future, Girls On Something.
Yeah.
Right? It would be cool.
Girls on guys would be great.
Girls On Guys. That would be great. Guys On Draft. That's the logo for our new logo for our other show.
Whoa.
Boom, boom. Yeah, that's technology, dude.
Oh, shit.
Trippy.
We went one
I feel
more.
like I feel like I'm smoking ayahuasca in a cave in Costa Rica
You don't
looking at
look
this
like
shit.
it.
Yeah, so
Woo!
that's cool.
Yeah, so Guys on Sports, and as we've been saying for the past few weeks, we are on Chalkboard. You can find us there under Guys on Sports, and I'll let
Yes.
Mark tell you a little bit about Chalkboard.
So we do now have a partnership with Chalkboard, which is an app currently available for all Apple smart devices. Android coming to a theater near you soon. You can find us there again on any iPads or iPhones. We are Guys on Sports. We have multiple channels that will help you with your weekly fantasy lineups as well as some betting advice. And it is a betting app, so you can kind of track all your betting across multiple sites, outside of like personal bookies and, the back of bar alleys and shit like that, all on, one condensed site.
Nice.
Yeah, and so it tracks your wins, your losses, your ROI. It's a fantastic app. You really have to get on there and check us out again, Guys on Sports.
Yeah, we have the best server on there for sure. Mark's running it. Week 2 is in the books, and before we get into any section here, how you guys feeling? I know. Let's keep it short and sweet. I'm feeling great. We're 2-0. I'm sure he is. They
NFC
look good.
Beast.
How
Yes.
you feeling about your Bears after week 2?
I cannot stand the fact that Aaron Rodgers says that he's our daddy and then goes out and fucking spanks us. It is like the worst feeling in the
That
world.
sucks, man. For
Like
you.
I want to see that guy roll off of a fucking cliff somewhere.
Now, was it a sensual spank? Was it a hard
no,
like
he's
trying
just-
to teach you a lesson?
No,
spank?
he's like, you come home after football practice and he's sitting at home, 7 bourbons deep with
Knocking
bloodshot red eyes and a
knocking a few back, huh?
belt waiting for you.
Yeah.
I thought I told you to be home by 8:30. It's 8:32.
And you thought you were going to be good because you sent them a B-roll picture,
Yeah.
AKA the 7, points you put up to start the game. And then right after that, just
But I will
wet your
say,
pants.
What will you say?
there was some shitty calls in that game.
Of course
they
there
had
was.
their own goddamn refs there at Lambeau, and shut up, Zach. And
world's smallest violin for the listeners.
that was a touchdown by Fields.
oh man, that would have made it.
the
That would have made it
ball-
so close.
Well, it would have at that point, and it would have definitely made it close at that point. It would have turned the tides a little bit. I think we would have gotten some momentum going. So it's bullshit. But again, terrible play calling too. I mean, it's 4th and literally 3 inches from the goddamn goal line. We go shotgun.
That was a bad
Come
call.
on, you
I
can
didn't
tell
like
he's a
that.
defensive coordinator.
I didn't
And then
like
you
that
run
at
up the
all.
middle,
Okay.
shotgun, and then you run up you fucking 3 inches away.
Hey.
Run up the middle from 3 inches away,
Hey.
not from fucking 19 yards away.
Not grinding my gears yet.
Oh yeah,
You could have requested that,
should
but
have grinded the gear.
I didn't
should have
think
grinded
about
your
that.
gear.
Well, there
No.
it is. Backtrack.
so how you
So-
feeling about the Eagles quickly?
Great.
Yeah. There you go.
You said quickly.
Oh, well.
Hey, listen, hate the Eagles with all my heart and soul, but
Yeah.
they look good. I
Oh,
will
man,
say they
do
look
they?
good.
He's him.
I'd rather them look good than the Cowboys.
It hurts.
And
don't
that's
it?
probably the best thing I can say about that.
That's the biggest compliment.
Yeah,
you can
I
say.
mean-
They're my 31st favorite team. That's
Yeah.
what I'll tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I would if you told me that the Eagles had to be good every year, but the Cowboys would always be bad, I'd sign up for that
I would
and
too.
just deal with the Eagles.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, obviously you would sign up for that. All right, but let's get into our first section. It's time for TikTok Take.
Time to check my social media, yeah. To see who loves me online.
I'm gonna comment. I'm gonna restart that. That was really fucking bad.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so Wow, I just had like the biggest like mental reset there for a second.
You need a little bit of bourbon.
You're fucking smoking
Yeah,
ayahuasca.
sorry, it's because I'm in a different chair. Rocky's not here, and I had to assume.
So what was it over
Position.
there? You were just staring into Phil's dreamy eyes.
It must
Is that
have
what
been,
you're
yeah.
throwing up?
POS podcast.
I feel POS podcaster now I'm all flushed and embarrassed. Yeah. So comments. If you comment on any of our social medias, whether it be Chalkboard,
right.
TikTok, Instagram, we're gonna highlight something. Usually it's been predictions lately that we've been doing well on.
Yeah.
On Chalkboard, NK_Vogel asked us another question. He said, "Are you guys higher on Henderson or Michael Thomas at flex?" And both Mark and I responded with Michael Thomas, and we had our reasonings, and that panned out for him. So.
Hashtag nailed it.
Good job on that. The other comment that I'm going to highlight is from TikTok, TY0E MA. This is a terrible username. TYOMWABZ.
Just kidding. We love you.
Said Cream Hunt or Juju in week 2. And then someone responded from our handle that said Hunt's got the hot hand and the Chargers could play a stout defense against Juju. So, and that panned out.
It did pan
Did
out.
pan out.
Not too many points for both of those players, but Hunt would have got you more points.
Juju actually fudged me a couple different directions
Yeah.
Nah, I bet he
in that
did.
game.
Well, you help people not get fudged. To give you a little highlight, on Chalkboard, Mark has his own channel about his starts, his sits, and his potentially could pan out. And you did pretty well.
Yeah,
You did well.
This was not that bad. Michael Thomas screwed me a little bit, and then the Pittman DNP right before game time. He was my fire play this
Other
week.
than your wide receivers, you hit on all platforms.
Everything else kind of
How
panned
about
out.
those Colts, huh?
Oh my gosh.
Good
You know,
Lord.
before we get, since we're in the comment section, I just want to, I mean, it might be a little bit early to throw a party, but we got a lot of hate in the summer over saying the Bengals weren't going to win their division.
We did.
We got a lot of hate over saying, I know I did, over the Titans winning that division now. They don't look great either, but the Colts, who everybody had penned in to win that division, look terrible.
I'm so far wrong about that one. That's probably my biggest, like, when we were wrong. The Colts.
Yeah.
Everybody else is saying that we didn't know what we were talking about. The Vikings are hands down the favorites to win that division. New
So far.
Orleans is, and I get it. There's a long season, but all I'm saying is you don't know till you know, man. We're guessing this shit just like you guys are, just a little bit better. We're doing it just a
Yeah,
little
the
bit
NFL has always been like that. There's a lot of turnover year to year. So
Yeah.
I didn't get where people were coming from. And the NFC North is kind of still up in the air, obviously. And
Yeah.
the team in the basement is the Bengals. I think that was the biggest. That was probably the one we got the most hate. That and the Colts and me saying that the NFC West was all going to make the playoffs, which is
Yeah.
AFC.
And
AFC West, yeah, and that doesn't look great right now.
And
But
my prediction of Detroit winning the NFC North. I mean, people just rip me, but
They look good.
Tied for first.
they look good.
They do.
Well, a team that a lot of us didn't have in the playoffs were the Dolphins.
Yeah, we didn't. I had the Dolphins. I had the Raiders beating them out for that last wild card spot, which might be my downfall right now.
You know what? Again, we're only 2 weeks in, man. What they teach you? They teach you don't panic. Plenty of time.
I think our friend here is trying to clue us in to tell us it's time for what did we learn? What did we learn? And the question I wanted to throw out there is, like we said, it is a little bit early. You got Tua up on the screen. Did we find out if he's a franchise quarterback? First of all, I want to know, what did you think before the season started, and has it changed? I'll let you go first.
Me? All right.
Yeah, you.
I was actually very high on Tua as my QB2.
I bet you were.
I was targeting him a bunch to back up my starters. I typically go quarterback late. Carr had been my number one target. It's not panning out so far. So thankfully, I backed him up a lot of times with Tua. And Tua's had some sensational games. I knew not to read into all the bullshit that you hear, like his arm is weak and, he's inaccurate. There's definitely evidence out there and statistics, proving otherwise. He's looked the part so far. I mean, it helps when you have playmakers like you do, but I mean, he's utilizing all of his playmakers effectively outside of the running backs. The running game is essentially non-existent, but goddamn, man, if you were doubting Tyreek Hill, it sucks for you because you're probably, 0-2 or at least regretting skipping Hill when you could have gotten him, at a pretty decent price in the second round.
Yeah.
Waddle's another one. Waddle was going like round 6, and I even saw him start to slide even later, like 8 and 9. And I mean, I think they're the only two of the only guys that are over 250 yards receiving at this point or something. Like, it's insane.
I have them on one of my teams both, and I fired them up together both weeks, and I'm 2-0 in that league.
There you go, man. Smart move. What do you think, Zach? Do you like Tua? Do you think he's the franchise? Is he the face?
I, for some reason, have bias because one of my closest friends is a really big Tuanon believer and worships the guy. So like I automatically don't really want to see success from him, just to kind of throw it back in his face.
Yeah.
I was
good
on
friend.
this. Yeah, I was on the side of good friend. I was on the side of thinking that Tua wouldn't necessarily pan out. I needed to see more from him to believe that he was going to make that much of a step. I still feel hesitant even after this game. Like, what more could have you done to prove people wrong? I need to see the momentum carry out and continue into the next few weeks and potentially make the playoffs. I think this is a season-long prove it.
Well, that was that's actually a great point to bring up, because this is the week that he's got to go out there and prove it. They get a stout Buffalo team that looks like they are effing invincible.
Let's talk about them for a little bit too. I mean, that division. I mean, who would have thought going into week 3 we'd be saying the Patriots probably the team with the least talent, and I'd say clearly in competition with the Jets is the third. They're there. They are nowhere near, to me, where the Dolphins are or the Bills are. I love Bill Belichick, but I don't know that he can coach that roster to compete with what they're putting on the field with those two teams. And guess what? The Jets, if Zach Wilson could come back and improve upon what he started to put together at the end of last year, they got skill guys all over the field too.
Dude, but Flacco, man, Flacco's throwing the pill around. The dude is
Flacco,
putting up like he's in his 20s.
Well, I mean,
in week 2,
the knock on Flacco the last few years has been his mobility.
Yeah.
You know, if he could get protection, he could deliver the ball. But that's the same thing with a lot of these older quarterbacks. So you rattle their cage a little. I know he's Joe Cool, but when you get him off his platform, you know, he could be susceptible to making some bad decisions. But yeah, he looks great, and man, it's crazy how fast that roster looks terrible when Brady's not there. I don't know that the rosters before that were that much better.
Yeah,
and then he was definitely a cure-all. But I think Tua, I think it's the real deal. And I know it's early, but the reason I say that is because the things that you need to be there are there. The one knock on him to me is he's not a playmaker. Like, he's not a guy that's going to roll out and break the pocket and make a play. But he is accurate, and I think that if he could just see the game pre-snap, that what they're doing right now is going to work. Like, I don't see this going this way. I see this continuing to get better.
Yeah.
I don't know if stat-wise it will be, because what he just did Sunday with, I mean, he's breaking Dan Marino records. So I don't know that you're going to see better numbers, but I think they're going to be a potent offense for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that too.
All right, so from one potent offense and an upcoming QB to one that we thought was the next coming of Joe Namath, Joe Burrow has struggled. He struggled pretty mightily, and I think he's gotten the benefit of the doubt because, you know, people just like him.
He's Joe Cool.
He's Joe Cool, but it's been more than just the offensive line being bad.
Yeah.
He's looked bad.
He's looked terrible.
He has caused some of the sacks.
Let's face it, the Super Bowl hangover is real and alive in Cincinnati. This team does not look like it can even, at this point, they don't even really look like they can get on track to kind of right the ship at this point, right?
Here's the thing. I think we pointed this out when we picked them to not make the playoffs. Well, when I don't know, did you guys also say who? Somebody else didn't.
I originally had them not making the playoffs.
And
I
then you
had
put them back
Ravens and Steelers, and then
Okay.
I took the Steelers out and put the Bengals in as
Okay.
a wild card.
Yeah.
So that's fair.
I'm pretty sure I left them out, but
Yeah.
I'd have to rewatch.
The thing I wanted to key on is number one, they're going to play the Jets this week. They went into play the Jets last year. They lost to them. They were uneven last year. They got hot. I think they might have caught a little bit of lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
There was a game in Tennessee that they probably should have won if Ryan Tannehill didn't decide to turn into Kirk Cousins. And but they did, and it's like people just, you know, they bought into the hype with Joe Burrow. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad player by any stretch, but he's a young player, and they were kind of, you know, just crowning this guy as a top 5 quarterback in the league, which I thought was crazy off of that run. And they're in a tough division. The Ravens were definitely, no matter what, were going to be better. Pittsburgh is always going to be around. Yeah. And the Browns have a great roster. So, I don't know, man. I think there's tough sledding ahead for them. I don't see them. It's going to be a while before I really see them as contenders again.
I mean, let's face it. They're 0-2. They're in the basement. And quite frankly, they should be looking up at 2-0 teams that got beat in the last minutes of their respective games, with Baltimore losing to Miami in the wavering seconds, and then the Jets, man, the Jets coming back from 2 scores down with a minute 53 to beat the Browns. Or else you're looking at Cleveland and Baltimore both 2-0, Pittsburgh 1-1, and Cincinnati sitting in the basement at 0-2. I think the struggle is going to be real for Cincinnati this year. I don't know if I see them getting this corrected.
Yeah, a lot of times you say like, oh, it's week 2, like we'll be fine. But I think this kind of what you were saying is defining a little bit of their season already, because not only have they lost against teams that they should have beaten, but the other teams in the division are doing what they have to do, at least a little bit better than the Bengals are. Mm-hmm. So for them to be starting off so cold, I don't see. It's the exact opposite of the Dolphins who we just highlighted. Yeah, it's the exact opposite.
Yep. And here's the thing to keep in mind, right? They lost Joe Burrow to Mitch Trubisky and Cooper Rush. That's who he lost his first 2 games to.
Yeah.
Okay, and obviously we know he's not playing them head up, but we're talking about a team that's got to go play the Ravens twice. They got to play the Browns twice, and I think the second time they play them, they'll have Deshaun Watson. And that's another thing. I think by the end of this year, you might be looking at a division where he's the 3rd best quarterback in it.
Yeah, it's a little.
Okay, and I mean that. And then we got to see. And I don't want. It's Kenny Pickett, right?
Yeah.
We got to see. Yeah, we got to see. I think we're gonna see him based on how Mitch is playing through the first 2 weeks.
Yeah,
which is heartbreaking because Trubisky watch was an incredible movement.
Told you.
You know, he might be. I mean, besides the 8-game run there, Lamar Jackson has shown more. Deshaun Watson has shown more. And this guy that was crowned last year,
Watson has shown more.
You know, it's because Cincinnati was the feel-good team too, right? Everybody wanted to get behind Cincinnati. They'd been lowly for so long. Here comes Joe Cool, unflappable under pressure. Yep. And I mean, to his credit, his post-game conferences were phenomenal. The guy just didn't look like he was really rattled and could play on any stage.
He might be drinking a Kool-Aid at this point, though.
And that's what it seems like. It seems like at this point, he kind of bought into the persona that the media created for him. And because of that, maybe rested on his laurels a little bit too much. And now he's getting, now they're bringing you back down to earth, buddy.
Yeah, and I'll pitch this to you because we'll get right into our next point here. What did we learn about that division this week? Who do we think wins it?
I would have said
definitely ask Zach.
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
Zach. I thought you were looking at me, and you were looking at me.
I hate this chair. I have no sense of.
I used to sit there.
Of purpose here.
Well, all right, yeah, because I've been hearing you talk a lot. I want to hear Zach. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I still think it's it's the Ravens. I was just looking at Joe Burrow and the Bengals on the slides here. Mm-hmm. I am all sorts of whack in this seat. The Ravens I picked to win the division from the get go, and I still think that's going to be the case. They've played the best, I think, so far of all these teams. They haven't had even though they lost against the Dolphins, I think that's a game that helps them shake off a lot of their rust. I don't think there's much to say about it. I think the Ravens are good. They're healthy, and they're probably in the best position to win that division with all these other teams that have looked like they've got their own internal battles, it seems.
What do you think, Mark?
So I think it is the Ravens' division to lose. We're looking at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is going through the quarterback transition. They just lost their all-pro defender, T.J. Watt. Najee doesn't look himself. I think Cincinnati may finish ahead of Pittsburgh. Baltimore, aside from that last minute, blow up and Miami charging back there, Baltimore just has the playmakers. They have Lamar Jackson. He ran for 120 yards this past week on top of throwing for 300. He's responsible for 4 or 5 touchdowns. Like the guy's just an incredible playmaker. They have him. They have Rashad Bateman. They have Mark Andrews, who's arguably top 3 tight end in the league. And they don't even have their running game yet. They're going to get J.K. Dobbins back at some point. That's just hungry as hell to get out there. And for his, for the short stint that he's had on the field, it's a small sample size, but he was very, very effective on the ground. And I think that he's going to give them a legitimate second rushing, rushing attacker, that's not Kenyon Drake, that's not Mike Davis, it's not all these plug gap guys. And that's going to open the offense even more. Devin Duvernay has turned out to be a fantastic wide receiver too. Like
Interesting enunciation. On it.
Yeah, Duvernay
Is how I've heard it.
Duvernay.
Devon.
I like that.
But I think Baltimore has the best playmakers, and Cleveland might just be a quarterback
Can you pick
shy.
one? Can you pick one and let me go? Fuck.
Yeah, well, I was just highlighting why Cincinnati's screwed, man.
Yeah, maybe I'm picking the Browns, and I am.
Baltimore.
I picked the Ravens to win this division at the beginning of the year. Okay. I watched the Browns. That game is like a getting struck by lightning with how they lost to the Jets, and I felt so bad. But then I laughed later because I was so locked into the Giants game that I didn't realize how they lost that game. And I fired that text off at Rocky, and he had to be like in the pits of misery.
Oh, I'm sure he was.
Yeah, he was down bad.
I think there was a little bit lost in translation. I was trying to say, wow, like in my head, the way the text came out was, wow, it must be quiet in the dog pound. I think the way he read it was, it's got to be, like, I'm telling him to be quiet because he was, I guess, ready to say something he thought was probably a corny joke. But, yeah, that was bad. But I'm saying that to say that they played Carolina, they played the Jets, two teams they should have beat, but without their quarterback. I like the way they play. I think they're going to get in, as the season goes on, they're going to get better. They could run the ball. Yeah. They could play defense. And I do think their coach is a good coach. They're going to get Watson back for the stretch run. Even if he's not as sharp as he needs to be, he's dynamic. And they got good players. The Ravens worry me, right? Because they beat up on a Jets team that looked outmatched in week 1. And in week 2, yeah, they were winning that game, but they got outscored 28-3 in the fourth quarter. That's not the Ravens defense. That's not when I penciled them in to win this division, I'm thinking, okay, these guys are going to be, the Ravens of old. They're getting their guys
Ray
back.
Lewis is still back there?
No, not that. I'm saying, but they've been a solid defense. They're the Ravens. They've always had a solid defense.
Harbaugh's always going to put a good defense on the field.
What happened in that game, I feel like there's going to be teams are going to go to school on that, and I think they may have been exposed a little bit. And I just worry. I worry if they don't have that defensive, if that's not solidified, that I don't know that they match up as well talent-wise with the Browns.
Right. I think there is time. I think there's time for that defense to kind of gel and that part to get better. I like the fact that the offense is clicking and they're throwing up so many points. What I will say that I do love in Cleveland that they're doing, they've got some leaders on that team. Say what you will, we give Rocky shit about being a Browns fan, but
we will.
And more to come. There's some leadership on that team, and there's a lot of ownership. Nick Chubb, who had he didn't have to take any responsibility for that loss whatsoever, took full accountability, saying that I should not have ran in my third, I shouldn't have ran in for that third touchdown. I should have sat down. We could have kneeled, and ran out the clock. Now, that being said, you're not expecting with a minute 53 being up by 13 to lose the game when your opponent has no timeouts.
Exactly.
I mean, so
it's a 1,000,000,001 shot. The things that had to happen.
But for that 1,000,000,001 shot, it'd be easy to say, "Hey, that's not my fault." But he didn't, man. Chubb just stood up and he's like, "That's my bad. You know what? I've learned something. And if ever that scenario, rears its ugly head again, like I'm gonna kneel down. I'm not gonna."
In my brain, they're 2-0.
Yeah.
They won that game to me. I mean, they lost the game, obviously, but they won the game. Yeah. I mean, it was fluky what happened with the Jets. It was cool, but a blown coverage, no timeouts, recover the onside kick, drive down with no... I mean, I think they were so shell-shocked from that first touchdown and the onside recovery that the momentum had just swung.
Yeah.
The Ravens... That was just a whole quarter of being dominated, and that's what worries me about that happening. But, yeah, I'm switching. I take the Browns. Lock it in. Winning the AFC North. Why do I keep doing that?
Because you're an idiot.
I'm stupid. All right. I think we should go to our next section, which is quickly becoming my favorite section, and that is Smash. Smash Smash or pass, and this week we are attacking the NFC North, which is near and dear to your heart, the black and blue division, right?
Yeah, best division of football.
All right, so
It's
if
got
you
the
have
most history.
no, okay,
And you get to go first
most
this time.
does it have? Yeah, it probably has the most. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. If you haven't watched this before, I just make a statement, and once I make that statement, these young gentlemen here and me will say whether we smash or pass. And if you don't know what smash or pass means, I'm sorry. Google it, and it is what it is. So
Let's have some good questions, all right? Respect the division.
It's going to be along the lines of the other questions, so just be ready to deal with it. Okay, here we go. The Detroit Lions can win the division.
Yes, I predicted it.
Well, okay, that's not how this works, right?
Smash.
Okay.
Smash. I predicted it.
The Lions can win the division.
Yes.
Smash. They could win the division.
Okay. All right, you know what? I don't like how you just did that. So Lions will win this division. Go again.
Smash.
Okay.
Pass.
I'm going to smash the Lions winning this division.
Oh, my.
So
Converted
Can I
one.
say something? Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Jared Goff had one bad year in L.A., right?
One bad year.
Went to the Super Bowl the year before. He looks re-energized.
Yep.
He's still young, and they have him. The talent on that team is, I think they have the most talent offensively than of any team in that division, even the Vikings. I mean, Jay Jetter's aside, they have talent everywhere.
Well, Jay Jettis can be shut down, as we saw last night.
That's right. That was impressive. I had picked him as my captain on my DraftKings. So
he looked like shit too, man. He broke off like 3 routes and 2 of them were picked off.
that first interception was all on him.
All his fault.
Yeah, that was bad. But yeah, all right, I'm taking smash. Lions will win division. Okay, number 2. Here we go. Justin Fields is him.
Smash.
Pass.
I pass.
That's because you guys are idiots.
Yeah, scored.
Explain. Give me in
Scored
20
once.
seconds.
So they have
Doesn't look good right now.
no, but
Okay.
their offensive line is also patchwork. They have some playmakers. They're not throwing the ball, so they're not fully in their game plan. I think once they start to spread the ball around, he's an accurate enough quarterback. He has really good vision and he's mobile. He can do what you said Tua lacks.
Okay.
You give Fields Tua's weapons, Fields is in a better situation.
No, I mean, you're not really saying anything there, but okay. All right, I stand with Aaron Rodgers. In general.
Fucking pass.
Okay.
God, that's an awful question.
Smash.
I also smash. I stand with A-Rod. I mean, the guy, he's got his head screwed on right.
Let him live his life. He's like a 3-time MVP or whatever it is now.
Embrace the hate. Vikings get to divisional round.
Pass.
Pass.
This is tough for me. I'm going to have to pass after watching 2 weeks of football. I'm going to pass. I still think, yeah, well, that's quick, man. I switched on the Ravens. I already switched on the Vikings, right? So Vikings get to
2
I
weeks
pass.
in. 2 weeks in. Time to panic.
Yep, here we go. All right. Goff is second best quarterback in division.
Pass. He's the first.
Okay. Go.
Smash.
I smashed too. He's the second. I think he is better than Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
So, I mean, and I like Kirk Cousins. No,
Yeah.
but okay.
I'm saying like right now he is.
Brett Favre was better.
Smash.
Pass.
Smash. You didn't get to watch him play, man.
Pull the numbers up. I don't think it matters.
It's not all about the numbers. Come on, you know better than that.
Championships.
No.
It's not just that. I just
Individual
think he was
awards,
better.
statistics.
It's just
Aaron Rodgers is better.
He didn't choke on his own fucking hairballs in the playoffs.
So
like
Tom
Aaron Rodgers
Brady-
has
Brett
done.
Favre has lost a lot of games. too.
Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, right? Who's better? Manning had all the stats.
All the stats.
Yeah, Peyton Manning is a better quarterback.
That's what we're
Is
saying.
he better?
Yeah, I'm saying Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback because his statistics are better. And he.
So you don't think? So you think he's better than Tom Brady?
That backfired on you, asshole.
I think Peyton Manning is a better quarterback. Yes.
Okay. I think everybody gets my point. All right, we'll move on.
Tom Brady's the
I
GOAT,
hope so.
yeah.
All right, here we go. NFC North fans are mostly fat.
Smash.
Smash.
I hate to say it, but I think you got to smash. I mean, if you just look
It's
at the
fucking cold.
if you look at the cuisine,
Yeah, exactly.
it's very heavy food.
I mean, it's cheese curds.
There's no beach to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. And it's cold like 10 months out of the year up there, man.
I mean, it's cheese, it's sausage, it's deep dish pizza.
Yeah.
It's Detroit style pizza, which is basically a square.
You know how much
dish.
time you'd have to spend on a treadmill to work all that shit off? It's not worth it. Just
They don't have treadmills out there, right?
be fat and happy.
Just in the facility.
NFC
Yeah,
North.
because I imagine when you watch a Bears game or a Lions game, you're not motivated to then carry on with your life. You're letting that
Depression,
pizza
yeah.
bake in your stomach
eat
as
your
you
feelings.
cry on the couch till the next morning.
There's two other teams in the division. What about Green Bay? They've been the most
I mean,
successful. Are they?
cheese.
No.
What's their excuse for being
Cheese.
fat?
Well, they're in depression too because they make it to an NFC Championship game every year and then they don't make it past that.
But
So
you're
it's the
saying-
worst blue ball. That's a grind my gears.
Yeah.
Teams like the Packers that their organization says, okay, we're going to be successful to be a team that everyone mentions to have season ticket holders, but then not actually try and be the successful team and win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they need to go all in.
It's a bunch of
Get rid
bullshit.
of Aaron Rodgers. Get a better quarterback. I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Next one. This is right in line with the last question. Detroit style pizza is better than Chicago deep dish.
Pass.
I'm going to say smash.
I'm also going to say smash. I think it is better.
I have an asterisk next to mine because I've never actually had Chicago deep dish, but
Fuck Chicago deep dish.
But I know Detroit style pizza is good.
Not even pizza. It's a friggin' pie. All right. Amon-Ra is a true wide receiver one.
That's a smash.
That's the biggest smash of this game so far.
Yeah? Okay. I thought that was going to be a little controversial. All right. Yeah, I also smashed.
Dude, did you see that high point touchdown from behind the
Dude,
defender?
the guy gets targeted like 13,000
Yeah, he's
times a game.
It's insane.
For a reason.
The guy is legit.
Yeah, I like Amon-Ra. Is he the best wide receiver in the division?
Oh.
No.
No.
Jettas? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just see if I can catch you guys slipping.
Pass.
You had to think about
I
it.
almost said smash because Minnesota was the last team I went through in my head.
Okay. Detroit is back. I guess we could just, we already talked about some
Smash, baby.
Are you also smashing that?
Smash. Yeah.
You like that?
I like that.
No, that's the next question.
You like that?
God, your fucking references.
Do you not get it?
No.
Kirk Cousins?
Come on.
You like
that's-
that?
You're
Pass.
stupid, huh?
Pass.
Pass.
I mean, he was smash. I like that.
Nah, he's a clown.
No.
You like that?
You like that.
You like that?
I'll remind you that Kirk Cousins, what was he, a 5th round draft pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's
He's
60 and 2 as a career. He's the most mid quarterback that we've seen.
He's got a pretty big bank account.
He was the
Oh
second.
yeah, I'm not saying he's not rich.
What I'm saying, the guy had to fight to get that. I'm just saying, I respect what the guy did.
I respect what he did too. I mean, he was the second quarterback drafted on Washington that year, let alone
Behind RG3,
Behind
who was the
RG3.
rookie sensation. Where he earned the starting job there and
Yeah.
earned his way to. I mean, got to respect the grind. All right. Barry Sanders is best running back ever in division.
Pass. What the fuck? Stupid questions.
Smash.
Smash.
Scumbags. Sweetness by far.
Oh, no.
I was even thinking AP in vintage Minnesota days
because you're an idiot.
as like a third or fourth. I was going through my brain.
There's an argument between AP and Sweetness for number 2 for sure. All right. Mooney is second best wide receiver in division.
I'm gonna pass.
Pass.
Pass 2. I thought you were going to homer that one, but all right.
No, I mean it's a shame. He's probably got the second most skill, but he's just not in a situation where he can thrive.
Okay. The NFC North divisional toughness is overrated.
Pass.
Smash.
I'm going to smash 2. Who's tough in that division still?
They're all tough, man. They're all 1-1.
They're all high flyers.
It's not NFC East.
It's
AFC North.
What NFC East? You're
Yeah.
gonna say the NFC East is tough?
I'm
not
saying,
anymore. I'm not with you on that.
Wait, I'm not. What do you? I don't know what you're talking
Holy
about. I'm
I'm
talking
talking
about
about
like.
toughness.
Like,
Like
tough, like
competitiveness?
smash
no, I mean
mouth,
like
like
toughness. Tough, like
Oh,
tough
I'm thinking like
football.
as far
tough
as like
teams.
rival, like
No,
rivalry
no.
stuff goes.
Yeah, no, you could re-answer if you want.
So what's the question?
Just being
they're tough guys.
tough division, tough games,
Pass.
hard nose. I do pass because Detroit is.
It's still
They're a
pass.
high-flying offensive team. Packers, high-flying offensive team. The Bears are trying to be a high-flying offensive team. Nobody in that division is playing that style of ball at all. And that's what they're known for. They're black and blue. You think they're the black and blue division still?
Next question.
The Packers are kind of a run team, though.
They're not tough, though.
They're not. Well, last year they kind of.
Did you just see what Monty did?
Okay.
Lost the game.
Don't come on the table. Relax. All right. Sorry about that. Brian Urlacher is the best Bears linebacker ever.
Nah, that's a pass.
It's a pass.
I would love to say smash, but it's a pass.
Who is?
Oh, come on, man.
Just answer.
Fucking Singletary.
Okay. Not Buckus?
No.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm going to
Mikey eyes, baby.
I'm gonna pass. I wanted to smash.
Who is it for you?
Singletary.
Yeah.
Last one. Aaron Rodgers wins another Super Bowl.
Fuck him. Pass.
Pass.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to pass, man. I just don't think they have enough talent around. He should have left.
I'm surprised he even won one.
Okay.
You see, come on, man. And that is smash or pass, and I think it's time for to really go up and in on Rocky. So shut up, Mark. Right?
Ass of the week.
His ass.
That guy's an asshole.
Boom. Wow. That is a sight. Now, I'm sure most of you guys, if you're watching this show, you know what we're looking at. But the ass of the week is the Cleveland Brown fans. And let me tell you something. There's somebody that's closely associated with us that spent his money on a plane ticket, on a game ticket to go out there and tailgate with these pieces of garbage.
My question is, how did Rocky even get the mannequin on the flight? Did he have to fly that coach?
How did he get the photo? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think Rocky paid for this mannequin to sit in the seat next to him and coach. And then he gets here and he's the one who started this shit.
It's honestly disgusting. I don't think he bought it. I think he had it. I think he just brought it with him.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's just a portrait of him too up top.
That's probably him. I don't know what they're covering, but
honestly, I expected more from him.
So what we're talking about is the Cleveland Brown fans in the parking lot obviously had a mannequin that I think is imitating Deshaun Watson on a massage table with a massive boner, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is. Exactly.
That's
accurate.
And it says, what does it say there?
Happy endings
They're
are not illegal.
And that is a factual statement, but
with
it's
a
just
tip jar.
It's in poor taste. And
With
then
real
you had
tips. With real money.
People were tipping. And that just shows you the kind of person that, is a fan of this team and this organization. But then you go on the right and you see there's jerseys that say rubbing and tugging. I mean, what are we doing? Listen, Rocky is a guy that I thought I knew the character and like who he was, but for him to like not only take part in some of this stuff, but
celebrate, even
take pictures and send them to the group chat and say, "Hey guys, check this out." Like he was really, I think he expected a different response from us, but what he got was the right one. Is disgusting.
Browns deserve to lose that game. This is why the Browns lost this game.
That is karma.
They put karma on the table, and they also put a mannequin on the table with a rocket.
That's a big dong too, man. That's not even like that's a major league piece.
That's probably not. That's probably not a 2-scale mannequin there. I think that mannequin's probably
enhanced.
Yeah.
Well, Rocky will be back next week, and hopefully he could explain himself, and try to defend himself. I guess.
What can we call that? I can't, in good faith, call that the dog pound anymore. What are these guys? What are these fucking jokers down there? We need a new nickname for these guys.
I don't know. You're really putting us on the spot. Yeah. Let's think of a nickname for the dog pound.
Oh man,
the sex layer. I don't know. What do you?
I don't know either.
Pound Town's not bad.
Pound Town is pretty good. All right, so it's the Pound Town. Hey, all right. So Rocky, good luck with that, and we'll see you next week. I think it's and now it's time for our super expert fantasy advice. And if you've been listening to us at all, I'm sure we helped you win a few games this year.
Hopefully. I think we did.
Hopefully,
I think we
mean,
did.
I'm doing.
Well, if
pretty
you
good.
took the advice, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, last week's panic we did well on.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure. Yeah, the panic. We told you not to panic. We highlighted 13 guys, and 9 of them came through. Man, 9 of them definitely helped you win your games. I think we're hitting at a pretty high percentage here, man.
We are,
and especially so. Tune in Sunday mornings. We go live on TikTok from 9 to 10 and 10 to 11. We take 2 hour long shifts, and we answer all of your fantasy football questions leading into the games at 1:00.
Yeah.
So please tune in to Guys on Sports on TikTok Live.
And check that chalkboard because we do have the fantasy cheat sheets up there and stuff just to help you, get yourself together with your team. But we're gonna touch on some guys here, right? We're gonna touch on a few guys and we're gonna see if we're panicking still. The same thing we did last week. We have 5 names up there, and I think these are guys that were drafted pretty high, expected to kind of be stalwarts on your roster that are having a few issues. And I think there's a lot to be said for patience, but there's also a lot to be said of knowing when to cut bait,
cut the loss.
Try to make a trade, or knowing when to sit a guy for a couple weeks to see what's really going on. So I think we'll start with one of the biggest ones. I think Cam Akers. Where are we at with Cam Akers through 2 weeks?
Well, I think it is the biggest one because Cam Akers was religiously going in round 2. Sometimes he came off the board in round 1 if someone reached a little bit, but you saw him routinely going in round 2 as the RB2 for most teams. Dude, it's time to panic. Darrell Henderson looks pretty decent when he's in there. The Rams are trying to get back to their basics. They're throwing the ball around a bunch. They're not even really, they're not running a whole lot. So that already takes out part of Akers' game. He's not being relied upon in that passing attack. You have Kupp. You now have A-Rob. You saw a pretty decent game out of Higbee last week, and then you have him splitting time with Darrell Henderson. 100% time to panic on Cam Akers.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Someone, in fact, in my league did this last week and dropped him, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to pick him up right away. So I have Cam Akers actually stashed on my bench in a league.
I don't think it's a bad stash. Yeah.
It's not a bad stash, but it is the time to panic if you drafted him at the position that he's going in. And for me, it's been around like round 3 and 4 he's been drafted, but I still think you're panicking on him. You got to trade him for what you can.
So are you selling or are you trading him? If you're in the league, are you trying to get him low value, stash him on your bench, or you getting rid of him? If he's
I don't want anything to do with him unless he's a waiver wire ad for free.
Okay.
Yeah, what you got to do with him if he is on your team and you do plan on trading him is you stick him on your bench, you wait for his blow up game, and then you unload him.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll say this about him: Week 1, it was really bad. I mean, he just wasn't involved. 3 carries, 0 receptions. But game 2, he had 15 attempts, had 2 receptions. I'm not seeing his targets here, but 15 attempts. What worries me is 2.9 yards per carry.
Yeah,
and that's not great, and it was up against an Atlanta team that I don't know that we know what they are right now, but I don't think they're great, and so that's a little troublesome. They gave him 15 attempts is nothing to sneeze at this day and age with a running back. So if you can't produce with that is a little troubling. But I would say, I'm obviously panicking, but I am selling too. If I could get rid of him, if he could, sneak a touchdown in and give you like 13, 14 points, find the running back needy guy in your league and unload him.
Yeah, as a running back, 3 point some yards per carry is forgivable if you have a dominating presence in the passing game. And he's got neither. He had a 2.9 yards per carry average, like you highlighted, and he was targeted only 3 times with 2 receptions for 18 yards.
Yeah.
All right, so the next guy we'll move on to is a team we just talked about and had high praise for, the Detroit Lions. And one of their studs, is TJ Hockenson. I don't know exactly where he was going, but I did have him pretty high up as one of my targets for tight end this year. I did expect him to, especially with Goff looking better towards the end of the year last year, that he'd be a big part of them really being their resurgence this year, but it hasn't been great for him. So where are we at with TJ Hockenson?
I don't think it's time to panic yet. I would keep an eye on it. If this is week 5 and we're still seeing the same results, then yes, I'm panicking on it. As far as fantasy tight end depth goes, you're not really improving much with other options that are probably available. And he's got 7 targets in the last 2 games. 7 in each game is what I mean. for there to not be a wide receiver 2 really on that team yet, with Williamson probably going to be the guy when he comes back.
Yeah.
I'm not panicking yet. Yet is the key word.
Which is great analysis, and don't panic on him yet, because the promising stat line is here that he is still receiving 7 targets per game. And I expect that number to go up as well as Detroit really starts to figure themselves out. I mean, how long can Amon-Ra St. Brown sustain, 12, 13, 14 targets a game? I mean, he's a hell of a playmaker, but at some point, they're going to start to clamp, defense are going to clamp down on him a little bit, and then you're going to have Hawkinson, who was going, as the TE5, TE6 range, 7 targets a game at this point without him finding his groove is, super encouraging for me. I'm looking at that going up into like the double-digit range, and then, hopefully some more receptions, and the guy's definitely capable of yards after the catch. So I'm also stashing him.
Yeah, I'm not going crazy over this right now for the same reasons. I mean, DJ Chark was a rumor on Sunday, and I actually played him in a few leagues, which he really screwed me. I mean, a big fat goose egg.
Yeah.
He's talented. He's going to be part of the offense. So yeah, don't go crazy. Don't try to trade him. I mean, if you want to, if you got a good option next week, then you maybe want to let him cool out on the bench for a week. Maybe you do that, but yeah, I'm not going crazy. I'm not bailing on him right now. But we'll go from him to another guy that I had super high hopes for this year. But I did keep in the back of my mind, especially in our money leagues, how much he was going for, and knowing that James Robinson was in that backfield and he was still going to factor in. Travis Etienne hasn't been awesome. This week was okay, but he's definitely not what you expected him to be, especially where you drafted him coming into this year. So where you at, Zach? Are you panicking on Etienne yet, or
yeah,
I'm holding tight?
I'm disappointed because I have him in a lot of my leagues, and drafted him pretty fairly for where he was going. I don't think I reached for him, thank God, so far, but I'm holding on to him still. I'm not necessarily panicking yet, but the panic meter of 10 is absolute chaos. I'm at like a nice 6.5, 7, because his targets aren't really there. His rushing attempts are significantly less than Robinson. Robinson looks like he's the RB1. There have been a lot of dropped balls from ETN, a lot of it's his rookie season. I think that got overlooked a lot just because of the speculation with this offense. And I know what a Doug Peterson team looks like, and there is one running back and there's a second fiddle. It looks like Robinson is going to be the running back and Etienne's going to be the second fiddle. I hope it changes, but this is a player that you might want. You're probably going to get trade value for what you would wish you could get for Cam Akers. Like Travis Etienne, you can sell for higher value, I think, than an Akers in a league and a lot like mine, honestly.
So here's why I'm not panicking. I'm not panicking yet because I drafted him where I was expecting him to be in a timeshare with James Robinson, right? So I'm drafting him around my RB3, RB4, knowing that the production is coming later, right? So we do that a lot of times, especially with rookies. You know that they're not going to necessarily have an immediate impact, but you know that later in the year, they can potentially be your league winners. For me, ETN profiled as this guy preseason because James Robinson has not been the healthiest running back in recent years. ETN does have a better pass catching skill set than does Robinson. And also, James Robinson isn't lighting the world on fire either. I mean, 23 carries for 64 yards, 2.8 average. Granted, ETN had 2.2 on only 9 attempts, but that production is similar enough to where his playmaking ability when catching the ball might factor into him getting more playing time, later in the season. And he's making the most of it. I mean, he had 3 targets, 3 receptions, 33 yards. So, I mean, the guy has the ability to definitely get into open space. So I'm holding on because I know that I drafted him knowing that he wasn't going to be an immediate impact type of guy. I was praying that he would be, because then that's the bonus, right? Yep. So you get your end of year stash that's performing in the beginning of the season. I mean, game on, that's a league winner, right? In its own right. So I'm keeping him around because I think later in the year is where you're going to get your total, optimal production out of ETN.
I completely agree, and I will say, I think he's going to be buoyed by his receptions. He's not getting the attempts in the rushing game. He did have 2 drops week 1, but he, 3 catches, 30 yards. If he could pop it in the end zone once a game or, once every other game, I think you're going to get, like you said, about what you expect. He's a flex player for me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you want. A guy that's going to get a little bit of volume in the pass game. If you're in a PPR, it's perfect. He punches it in the end zone for you here and there, and, you get serviceable play from him. And then there's always the chance on the horizon that James Robinson misses a game or 2. Later in the year, he gets more involved. And, so I'm not panicking. I'm not getting rid of him because, you're not going to get much from him right now anyway. And if he blows up, I think you're going to want to – this is a guy you're going to want to keep after the blow because you think it's going to keep going that way.
100%.
From him, we'll move on to another guy that's super talented, and I really can't figure out what's going on. Mr. Kyle Pitts. Mr. Kyle Pitts is the 15th, ranked 15th for tight end targets in the league right now, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Week 1, he had 7 targets. Was only able to bring in 2, and then 3 targets this Sunday. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, right?
I am fucking panicking.
And I traded you Kyle Pitts. That's he forgot about that.
Oh yeah, I did.
Kyle
Yeah.
Pitts. I am panicking because Kyle Pitts is the tight end 3 taken off the board behind Kelce and Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the tight end 2 after Kelce.
Yeah.
You saw him going in, the 3rd round, routinely rounds 4 through 5, and in some instances I've seen him taken in round 2. He's averaging. He's supposed to be the guy. He's averaging 5 targets per game. His target share went down in week 2, and they were playing from behind, mounting a comeback. That to me screams, oh shit, what's going on here? Is it that he can't beat coverage? Is it that he isn't in the game plan for those come from behind wins? Because quite frankly, you're drafting Pitts thinking that Atlanta is going to be playing from behind all season long. So you're thinking this guy's going to have monster targets, right? So if they're playing from behind and he's not getting the targets, that to me is cause for concern.
Yeah, ditto to everything you just said. I have Pitts in a few leagues. Thank you for reminding me, Phil. I don't know. Like you're stuck with him if you drafted him like that, and it's going to be difficult to watch. But you got to keep him in lineups, and unless you can somehow trade him at a higher value if he has like one of these good games. But he's a player you're like you got screwed. You got screwed, I think.
All right, so I'm gonna go against the grain here, but I agree with everything you guys said. Not the screwed part, obviously, but everything else, the reasoning, I agree. But I'm looking at this like I got this guy. I spent some high draft capital on him. He's too talented. They do not. Drake London obviously has overshadowed him, but I think there's no way that you go through this whole season and Kyle Pitts doesn't become what he should be, a focal point of this offense. And if you drafted him, you're not getting rid of him now. And once he breaks out, I don't think you could go away from him. I don't think they can go away from him. Now, the first 2 weeks haven't been great, but I just can't believe that a guy with his measurables and that kind of talent is going to be phased out of the offense in his second year. It doesn't make sense to me. So I'm standing pat with him. I'm not going to try to trade him. I'm not going to go nuts. Maybe you get, Mariota's looked okay, but maybe you get Desmond Ridder in there at some point, and, maybe that helps, but I just can't give up on a guy that arguably is probably the most talented guy at the position in the league. I just don't know how you cut bait on him.
Yeah.
So
I'm just pessimistic on him.
I get it. And from him into another guy that's getting a little long in the tooth and a guy I love to hate, Mr. Ezekiel Elliott. And I will start this one off, boys. I am panicking with Mr. Zeke Elliott. I'll tell you why. I don't know how good that offense is going to be for the rest of the season with a backup quarterback and then Dak coming back off an injury and trying to get their rhythm and this and that. Look, week 1 and 2 combined 25 attempts. This is Ezekiel Elliott, right? His
Zeke,
his value was never, I'm going to break a 60-yard run and score a touchdown. Right? His value was he was a workhorse. He totes the rock. He gets the ball. He score. They just could count on him. He doesn't look 25 carries in 2 games. I don't know the math on that. Is that about 12 average 12 and a half carries a game?
Yeah.
And 53 yards, 52 yards. He should be fresh. Now, I watched him play. He seemed like I seen a little burst, but this is when I expect Ezekiel Elliott to be at his peak early in the season.
Right.
Why does this get better? If I'm holding on to Zeke, why is this going to get better? I don't have indicators that saying this is going to get better as the season goes on.
And you're right. You don't have indicators at this point. And, it is a little troublesome to see him in this predicament because, like you said, he should be the guy with the lion's share of the carries. But we're seeing that, Tony Pollard, who's so effective in the pass game, in order to keep Tony Pollard relevant in the pass game, you also have to mix in Tony Pollard running the ball. So because of that, Tony Pollard is now essentially splitting carries with Zeke because he is the better receiver out of the backfield.
Yep.
Tony Pollard received 7 targets last week. So that tells me that for those 7 targets, he's got to be on the field at least another 7 times so that you can offset him carrying the ball. With that being said, if Zeke is phased out of the passing game, Zeke essentially turns into a touchdown vulture and your goal line back, provided that you don't, it seems like the NFL is going to all these stupid goal line gadget plays a la shotgun from 3 inches away from the goal line, but if they're not going to play smash mouth ball at the goal line, then Zeke's value is shit at this point because Tony Pollard is definitely the more productive playmaker out of the 2 backs. And, I can see why Zeke's value has, I'm actually figuring this out in real time. And I'm thinking to myself, like, fuck, I invested so much in Zeke being my like RB3, RB4. And, they're phasing him out.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot. I mean, you don't know who to start if you have both of them or if you have one or the other. It is a decline for him. What we're seeing, and Tony Pollard has some big runs too. Like he had like a 60-yard, what would have been touchdown that he ended up getting anyways on a little carry there. But he's just the younger guy. He's what kind of to your point, Phil, what you're saying about how Zeke should be looking fresh. I'm pretty sure that Pollard's attempts are less, but what he's been doing with them seems to be more. So you got to fade Zeke if you can.
Yeah, it's tough, man. And like you were saying, the thing with Pollard, he has to see the field more. And I think at this point, he might. I'll ask you a question. Would you trade Ezekiel Elliott for Tony Pollard right now?
Yeah.
I think so.
I think the fact that you have to think about it, it says.
I don't want either. I don't want either of them, but
I'll tell you honestly one of the toughest things to do this year in drafts, and I've only done it a couple of times out of all my teams. The hardest back to cuff was Zeke because Tony Pollard's value was so high. You either had to pray that Zeke fell, or you had to reach for Tony Pollard in order to score both of them. Unless just for some reason, value shifted in some of the middle rounds and Pollard by all grace fell to you, which again happened only a handful of times. That should tell you something, that Zeke was the toughest back to handcuff because Tony Pollard is so valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking at his contract. I just want to see if there's some writing on the wall with it, but it looks like his dead cap hit, if he were to be cut, doesn't really jump down to something manageable until 2025.
Who's Zeke?
Yeah, Zeke. I'm looking. So 2024, his dead cap hit, it does drop in half from about 12 million. I'm trying to look at it here.
Yeah, but the Cowboys do that though. They pay mediocre players more than they deserve.
He got that in 2020.
Yeah.
It was a 6-year.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So 6 years. So yeah. So I mean that number. I mean, I'm just mentioning this because that's another thing I always say: follow the money with this stuff, right?
Yeah, they're fading him out.
They could be fading him out. I mean, it would be still $6 million cap hit, but versus 12 to get rid of him this year, it's not crazy to think that they cut him, save $6 million. They paid Dak. They got to start. CeeDee Lamb's probably coming up soon. Yeah. So yeah, you could be seeing the writing on the wall with him.
I think Zeke still has trade stock though.
Oh,
be
yeah,
quite
because he
honest.
has name recognition.
You know, I think he does. I don't think you're going to get for Zeke, obviously, what you could get for Zeke, 2 years ago when he signed that extension.
No.
But, you're still going to get decent return on Zeke somewhere where even if it fit you, say you decide by the end of the year, like, shit, Tony Pollard's not our guy either. You're probably going to be able to get at least a second round pick for Zeke, where you then could go out and you could pick up your next, stud running back out of the draft.
I agree. All right, so let's go on to our next little part of this fantasy section, and we're going to talk about our waiver ads. So our waiver ads going into week 3. We're going to highlight some guys that are low, I guess less than 60% owner. Is that fair? We
That
can
is fair.
stick to under that. And guys that we think are showed signs in week 2 that they could be bigger parts of these offenses than we thought coming into the season. So I will let Mr. Marcus go first.
Go with your market.
I think that mine's a slam dunk here. A lot of times I like to try to scour the waiver wires for you guys and try to come up with that diamond in the rough. But shit, man, if you can get Garrett Wilson, go get this dude now. Garrett Wilson has been immediately impactful in this Jets offense. I know in a lot of leagues he did go undrafted. Dynasty leagues, obviously, he was targeted. But in redraft leagues, not necessarily. And if he was targeted late, so there's still that possibility that he is on the waiver wire. This is why I tell you that. If there's the possibility that he's on the waiver wire, go get him. This guy has had 12 receptions on 22 targets through 2 games. He's got 154 yards and 2 touchdowns as a rookie in this, what was believed to be dismal Jets offense. Now, granted, some of that is definitely garbage time, but that garbage time also turned into gold last weekend against the Browns. So the guy is impactful. He can obviously get open. They're looking for him, and, he's got young, fresh legs. If he's on your waiver wire, go get him because he's going to be in your starting lineup at some point this year.
I agree with you, and I'll follow that up. I'm sorry, Zach, with a guy that is kind of scouring the waiver wire here, so the total opposite, and that's Nelson Aguilar. Nelson Aguilar, over the offseason, it was reported that he was kind of starting to build more of a chemistry with Mac Jones, and it seems like it's translating. So through the 2 weeks, he has 5 targets, 6 targets. So right around what I'm thinking, like you're a flex option, low end flex. But what you love is, especially in week 2 against that defense, 6 targets, brings in all 6 receptions, over 100 yards, and he gets in the end zone.
Yeah.
Nelson Aguilar has not been a guy that's been lacking in talent. I just think it hasn't worked for him, and I know. But, I think it's a guy, there's talent there, and if he's building a rapport with Mac Jones, there's not a lot else on that offense that gets me excited.
Yeah.
So, as a speculative ad, a guy that's 11 targets through 2 weeks, 26 points, perfect. See what happens as you go along the season. He might wind up being the number 1 target on that offense.
Yeah, those Philly receivers, man, once they leave Philly, they're gold.
Yeah, they're great. Jalen Reagor returning kicks, huh?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's like he had like
You don't gotta get me started.
no offensive snaps last.
Yeah, Jalen Reagor revenge game. Yeah, so from another team that doesn't have really a true clear-cut number 1 wide receiver is the New York Football Giants. Sterling Shepard is a player that I would try and add and is going to be one of those waiver wire ads that you can plug right into your lineup and you don't have to wait to see what happens or stash them. I mean, had the most targets out of all those receivers. Phil said it last week to how those receivers need to prove it. Sterling Shepard has the most experience on that team, and I think it'll go his way. I mean, he against a Dallas team that really was Burnt Toast Diggs going to cover Shepard all of next week. It's going to be getting him from the waiver wire and putting him in your lineup right away. I think.
I'll help you a little bit with this because I have a keen eye on the team here. But like you said, most targets, 10 targets last week.
He looked like the Shep of old, man.
He looks healthy, yeah. And here's the thing with
the boat picture, Shep.
my read on the situation there with Dayball is that they are truly going to go week. What he's said since training camp is that wide receiver room is going to compete week to week. And I think it's going to change week to week who gets what snaps.
Where's the other competition coming from?
Well, what I will say is that there's going to be a little bit of Wandell. When Wandell gets back, he's going to be a big factor. James Toney, I do believe what Dayball said that he's working him in because his snaps went from 7 to 28 this week. Kenny Golladay had, I think, 2 snaps on offense this week, okay? I'm saying he could be factored in. I just think it's a fluid situation, but what's not fluid is Sterling Shepard. Sterling Shepard is a pro, and for 10 targets, if he's the guy that they trust, yeah, I mean, he's a great pickup. 10% of leagues he's owned in on ESPN right now, so he's there for you. You go grab him and see what happens. I mean, and just to piggyback on that, the other 2 guys you could do the same with, James Ritchie and David Sills, who had the most snaps of any wide receiver on the offense last week. Now, do we have any? I have another guy. You guys have anybody else?
Keep going.
Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Owning 6.8% of leagues on ESPN right now. Offenses look great. 71 points in the first 2 weeks. He's averaging 20.7 fantasy points. Great guy to grab, stashes a QB2, filling in your bye weeks. But I'll say, I think if through your first 2 weeks, you might have wanted to start him over Joe Burrow. There's a couple guys. I mean, he outplayed. I just think what they're doing there is not relying on him having a great game. I think the system, the players around him, I'm not just trying to call him a system QB, but I think they're set up that he's going to be able to put up numbers week to week.
Yeah.
Because I just think, watching that offense has been fun this year. Yeah. He's got playmakers all around him. It's pretty freaking crazy.
Another guy you can go out and get, Mr. Dependable, the self-proclaimed fastest man in the league, Mr. Scotty Miller in Tampa Bay. He did receive 8 targets from Tom Brady this past weekend. And, normally I wouldn't say go add Scotty Miller, but we don't know what's going on with these Tampa wide receivers, man. Godwin's hurt every other week. Mm-hmm. Evans is hurt every other week and suspended. Julio Jones, we both know, we all know that, he's got shredded beef for hamstrings. Gage has been in and out of the lineup. Picadillo. So Scotty Miller is going to get significant snaps and obviously significant looks.
Scotty Tuati.
Brady went his way 8 times. Just saying.
To go back to the Scotty Miller, man. To go back to the Lions a little bit, Jamal Williams is probably one of the running backs that I would pick up off the waiver wire because he's only owned in 44% of leagues ish. Put him on your bench and wait for potentially an injury from DeAndre Swift, or honestly not even that. He's just like a better version of Tony Pollard. Like, he catches the ball a lot. He's getting goal line carries too. He's a good, solid running back to have on your team.
Devon DuVernay is another, good waiver wire.
One more, and Raheem Mostert.
Yeah.
He's only owned in about 50% of leagues. 14 carries. He outpaced Edmonds, and he looks like he's going to be the starter, at least for the time being. You got to remember, he's coming over. He has history with McDaniels.
He brought him over for a reason.
He knows the system, and when he's healthy, he's been a good, productive back. So go grab him. All right, now it's time for our NFL pod picks. Are you boys ready?
Born ready. I need redemption.
All right, Mark, why don't you run us through how shitty we did last week?
All right, so let's go from the least shitty was Rocky with 3 points.
Okay.
He pulls into a 2-way tie with you, Phil, with 7 overall points as you scored 2.
Okay.
I myself
what did I hit? It was
scored 2. You hit
my dog?
Your dog.
Resounding, right?
Yeah.
Resounding hit on those dogs.
I was
we could fucking bet already, man. I would be making money.
He was the only one. I was the only one that hit the immortal lock of the week this week with the Buccaneers -2.5. So I also had 2 points, which puts me in a 3rd place tie with Zach, who put the fucking goose egg. He put the anus on the board,
so
man.
Annoying, man.
0.
It's annoying.
Oh man! All right, so
let's hear your story, buddy.
Or fact.
So I have a story.
Okay.
I could have gone with a few stories.
Wait, hold on. Story time. Hold on. Go ahead.
So my embarrassing story for losing the pod picks last week was when we moved to Florida, and I played a few sports. I played soccer, but I also did
Field
karate.
hockey? Oh.
No, not field hockey. Karate.
What's wrong with field hockey?
Nothing's wrong with field hockey.
You can play it in this heat.
Mm-hmm.
So karate. So that's something that we tried out when I was younger. When we moved to Florida, I was a young kid. I was like 8, like 7.
Karate.
I was at karate. I was a smaller kid. I was pretty short. I was pretty skinny. So when we went to go to this karate dojo, whatever you call it, and I was getting fitted for my gi, I was super excited to go start practicing, to start whatever. So they said, "Is this gi good?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's great. Let's go." So I go onto the practice like mat or whatever. This gi is
No,
massive.
no shoes, right?
No, probably no shoes, smelling like feet.
Mm-hmm.
This gi was massive on me. It was huge. It was falling off me, whatever. So the kids, they all run around a little, like a lap around the dojo.
Yeah.
And they kind of paint the picture here. So you have like the mat, and then you have like the little waiting room where like the parents wait.
Yeah.
They have like the glass. They can watch their kids. And there's probably like 40 or 50 of us kids running around this square, just
That's
getting
my
warmed
kid
up.
with the giant gi.
So we're running around,
Just
and
swimming in a gi.
to kind of make a long story short, the geese like fell off of me. Like it literally, like my pants fell off.
Oh no.
And I tripped over them.
Oh no.
And I'm wearing like little like SpongeBob like tighty whities too. I get up, start crying.
Oh, my
Never
God.
went back to karate.
Oh no.
First practice in Florida.
Wow.
Rex Kwon Do.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing us to enter your embarrassing temple there,
Yeah.
buddy.
I hope to never do this again.
Yeah, I mean, you got to pick good. I mean, it can happen to anybody. Who lost? It was you last week.
Yeah. I lost
What was that
last week.
story again?
It was about fluorine.
What?
Telling the story about fluorine,
Yeah.
Scoob.
Which I feel like is
Oh
fake.
yeah,
I feel it's a
forgot
fake
about
story.
No, it's 100% true.
Who's talking about
100%
fluorine?
real.
100%. Do you still own the SpongeBob underwear?
No, I don't.
No.
And you know what's funny about that too? I remember those weren't like, I didn't like wearing those, but it was like laundry day. And I remember putting them on. I was like, no one's going to see these things.
I wear SpongeBob underwear right now. I love SpongeBob. Don't be ashamed.
No, well.
Okay,
not for
so
me.
we're gonna do our picks here, right? And I'm gonna just get Rocky's out of the way, right? The disgusting man. Here we go. I'm gonna start with his dog. All right, his dog is Detroit +6, and then for his next pick, he's moseying on down to Gillette Stadium, and he's gonna take on those Patriots, and he's gonna take Baltimore, giving 3 to the New England Patriots, and then his final pick, which and it sounds like my list a lot. Those Saints, he's picking those Saints to go marching -2.5 points. What about you, Mark? I mean, yeah, you go, Mark.
All right. I too went Detroit +6 against them lowly Vikings. I know it's in Minnesota, but like I said, Detroit's winning that division.
Yep.
I'm taking the juggernaut. I don't give a shit who they play. They could play Jesus for all I care. They're giving 5.5 away. Them Bills are going to rock them Dolphins. Tua's going to find out whether or not he's a franchise quarterback real quick. My dog is I am not a believer in Cincinnati. I think that they're all over the map. I think the Super Bowl hangover is real. I got them Jets +5 is my dog.
Okay. All right. So didn't want to put too much thought into these picks because that screwed me last week, I think.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say my dog first too.
Yeah.
Synergy there. I like the Houston Texans. I'm gonna take them +3 against the Bears.
Yeah.
In a little shit show of a game there. I'm gonna go with the
America's
Ravens.
game of the week.
Okay. I'm going with the Ravens -3 at New England.
Okay.
Taking Falcons +2
Okay.
against those Seattle Seahawks in what should be maybe an entertaining game for some reason. And
And
that's it.
all for now.
All right. So for me, I'm going with my dog first. I'm bark for myself. And for my dog, we're taking this to football's. All right. All right. You done?
Look at his wounds over there.
And for my dog pick, I'm going to football's cathedral. Okay. That's the friendly confines of FedEx Field, where those pesky Eagles are going to come in and try to take down Carson Wentz. This is a Carson Wentz revenge game, boys.
Okay.
And I tell you what, they're giving 6.5 points at home. This is the NFC East. This is a rivalry game. A touchdown is a lot on the road to beat your division rival. And I don't think that they win this game, but I think they cover that 6.5 points, and I think I swung them on it. All right, so for my second pick, I'm going with those Jets that you just mentioned.
Boom.
We got old man Flacco out there.
Yeah.
We got young boy Burrow out there. And guess what? Flacco's got this offense running. They got 2 backs they're running the rock. I mean, you can't go wrong. You're a fan of 2 teams. They're both playing well.
Yeah.
And Carter, what's the other kid's name that I
Breece
always
Hall.
forget? Breece Hall. He looks good.
Yeah.
Wilson looks great. And Flacco's slinging a rock. I take them to cover that. I mean, 5 points. Come on. What are we doing here?
Seriously.
All right. Then for my last pick, and I got to look at where they're playing because I'm so stupid. I was trying to do something cool and I ruined it.
They are playing at home against the
That's right.
Rams.
I knew the team. Oh, yeah, the Rams. The underachieving Rams. I mean, they won, but they don't look great.
They don't.
They don't look great.
Atlanta
And
almost mounted a fourth quarter comeback.
Kyler Murray turned into Kyler Murray again. Yeah. And a little bit of video game action, but I like them at home getting 3.5 points. Another divisional game, home dogs in a divisional game. I don't see the Rams going in there and dominating this game. If they do win, I think it'll be late by a field goal. I don't see them beating them by 2 field goals or a touchdown. So I take Arizona.
That's the game I'm most looking forward to. That kind of takes me back to childhood, man. Those divisional games at 4:00 that, you get the 1:00 games out of the way and this is the last game you're going to really watch before dinner and then homework and bedtime.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic game.
It's a long time.
It was a long time ago.
All right. So now it's time for the best part of the whole damn show. Yeah.
It's good. It's getting better.
So
each
here
week.
we go.
That's
Our
awesome.
immortal locks.
Yeah.
Every time I do this, you say that's awesome. I mean, you really like that.
Dude, it's got I got goosebumps.
You getting tingles in your
Yeah,
nuts or what?
man.
Something's raised.
All right, so let's go with our locks, boys. And you give me, when I point to you, you give me it because you're giving it to me in that voice. And be clear, okay? Mark, you go.
How can you not take the Ravens, only giving 3 to New England? Lock it up.
Okay.
All right.
Do you want to elaborate on that at all or no?
I just think, I like the way Baltimore's playing. I think they're going to have a bit of a chip on their shoulder, allowing Miami to come back in the fourth quarter like they did. New England does not have that firepower that Miami had. Look for Baltimore to salt this one away early.
Okay, so here we go, Zach.
The Chiefs minus 6.5 points.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of believing in the hype of the Colts sucking a little bit.
Yeah.
For the Chiefs to win by a touchdown, I think is pretty manageable. They won their game against the Chargers, but it was a sloppy game. It didn't look right. What is the offense for the Chiefs behind Travis Kelce? I think they had some time to figure it out, and they'll win by at least a touchdown.
All right, I'll do Rocky's lock real quick.
Kansas City minus 6.5. I just think they're gonna cover.
Oh my god,
Dude, I was
That's
so
perfect.
hoping that
That's
you were going to
perfect.
do
Yeah,
that.
That's good.
Oh, crap. All right.
That's good. It's something he would say too. I just think they're gonna cover.
So, yeah, he echoed what you said. So, Chiefs there. All right, and then I'll go with mine.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. New Orleans minus 2.5.
And all I'll say is they're playing the Carolina Panthers. Yes, they're on the road, but the Giants defense look good, okay, but they're missing their 2 pass rushers. The Saints are not. The Saints are a tough defensive team. They're going to beat up the Carolina Panthers. If the Giants can lock down McCaffrey, the Saints can.
Yeah.
And I think Jameis could toss the ball around the yard a little bit. There's no home field advantage there, and they're not good. Mayfield doesn't look good. It does not look good. So, I mean,
Yes.
field goal.
These are facts.
Field goal. Field goal, huh?
Heh.
I'll put the game on, bet a stack, and go to sleep. I will not even sweat that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stack of what? Like Lay's stacks?
No, like a stack. Like, I mean, like $1,000 if I can actually bet.
Oh.
It'd be nice.
You know what you should do? You should do it on Chalkboard. On Chalkboard is our partner, which is a sports betting app.
That's right.
You can combine all of your internet sports betting onto one site. That way you're able to track all your wins, losses, and return on investment. That is currently available for all Apple smart devices. Android, coming soon.
Practice that in the mirror. It's pretty good.
Not bad, right?
Yeah.
Getting
Yeah.
better.
So
We're like celebrities now, kind of, maybe.
I was thinking of doing something, but I'm not going to do it.
Why?
Well, because I haven't thought it through, and it's probably going to suck right now, but maybe next
You can
time.
always cut it.
I guess I could, but now I've talked about it too much. All right.
Yeah.
Well, guess what, guys? I think that was a hell of a show.
That's a hell of a show.
I think it was even better without Rocky here. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, especially after those goddamn pictures. What a disgrace.
Yeah, I feel like he tarnishes us a little bit now.
Fucking Pound Town.
I can't believe it. That Rocky, why would you do something like that?
Well, I mean, I just want the team to win. I mean, what he did off the field doesn't really matter. And there's no proof.
Well, Rocky, how can you say that? I mean, there's deposition. There's a bunch of, he's the defendant. There's a bunch of people accusing him of doing this. I mean, there has to be some validity to it.
Yeah, but by the letter of the law, you can't say he did. And guess what? We need him.
Well, Rocky, if that's how you feel, I understand. Just next time we talk about it, maybe think about how you pose this, and maybe, don't send those pictures of the dummy. I mean, it seems like you're supporting him.
Well, no, I don't want to support him, but I kind of have to. I mean, I don't agree with him, but I kind of have to buy his jersey. I kind of have to root for him.
You know what? That's fair, Rocky. I mean, to each its own. It's your team, and I think that's okay. I don't think he convinced me. I'm not mad at him anymore.
Okay.
All right.
The factory of sadness is
forgive
open.
him.
No. All right, guys, please check us out on our socials: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, especially on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Please comment. Check out our other show, Guys on Draft. That's this show. Guys on Draft. Guys on Draft is our other show. It's great, man. It's real funny, and it's a lot different setup from this. Way more casual. Think you guys will like it, and please get on that TikTok. Watch those clips. Comment. Ask us your fantasy questions. Chalkboard HQ. We love you. Peace.